We've got bad news for every RV owner, and this one hits hard. Across America, dealers are slashing prices, lenders are backing out, and the resale market is starting to freeze. The RV boom that everyone thought would last forever, it's cracking wide open. And the reason why has nothing to do with gas prices or travel demand. Behind the scenes, a new rule is quietly changing everything about what your RV is worth. Before this wave spreads to your state, you need to know what's really driving the panic, because this story's only getting started. The morning prices dropped. It started quietly. No headlines, no industry warning, just a slow collapse hiding in plain sight. By the first week of January 2025, auction sites began showing Class A and Class C rigs selling for 25 to 30% less than they had just 9 months earlier. A 2022 Tiffin Allegro that fetched $189,000 last spring now closed at $131,000. A 2022 Thor Chateau dropped from $129,000 to under $100. These were not distressed sales, they were market resets. Dealers stopped calling them discounts. They called them exit prices. Black Book's April data confirmed it. Used RV resale values had slipped to the lowest levels since 2018. When you looked at the charts, it wasn't a dip, it was a cliff. Units once sold in a weekend now sat for months, and trade-in offers were half of what owners expected. You could see it yourself. Rows of rigs lined up behind chain-link fences, windshields tagged "Make Offer." The question was, why now? Fuel prices had steadied, travel demand was still strong, and the economy, at least on paper, hadn't crashed. But inside the numbers was something bigger: regulation. While everyone blamed interest rates, a quiet policy shift in California had just rewritten the future of motorhomes. And that was before the bans hit. What looked like a market correction was really the first tremor of something deeper. Policy, not prices, was driving the fall. The rule that changed overnight. In California, the Air Resources Board passed what they called the Advanced Clean Trucks Rule, a move meant to cut emissions from vehicles weighing more than 8,500 pounds. The problem? That weight class includes nearly every Class A and most Class C motorhomes on the road. Overnight, RVs joined the same regulatory category as long-haul freight trucks. The rule demanded that manufacturers begin ramping up zero-emission models starting in 2024 and reach 100% zero-emission sales by 2036. But there's a catch. No RV maker has a working electric platform that can handle the weight, range, or towing load. Even the most optimistic prototype cannot travel more than 100 miles between charges. In short, California set a bar no one in the RV industry can currently reach. For big brands, this means they can no longer ship or register new combustion engine rigs in that state after their assigned model year. For smaller builders, it's a death sentence. They rely on Ford and Chevy chassis that are suddenly non-compliant. Owners who plan to trade in or buy new models now face a dead end. CARB defended the policy as necessary for clean air. Yet buried in its own public notes, the agency admitted that more than half the state's residents already live in zones exceeding federal ozone limits. That means this isn't about leisure vehicles, it's about optics. And when policy becomes symbolism, entire markets take collateral damage. One state may have written the rule, but the rest of the map is already coloring in. If you've already seen prices fall or your insurance jump, drop a comment and let us know what's happening where you are. If you haven't yet, hit like so more owners see what's coming before it hits their wallet next. The 11-state domino. Within months, other states copied California's playbook. Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Oregon, and Washington were first, adopting identical emissions timelines by 2025. Vermont followed in 2026, with Colorado, New Mexico, and Rhode Island committing by 2027. Maine is still reviewing adoption, but has signaled support. That makes 11 states moving toward the same ban window. Each one links directly to California's policy through what's called a Section 177 waiver under the Clean Air Act. In plain English, it means they can mirror California's emission standards without federal approval. Once one state activates, others can plug in automatically. The result? A legal domino effect that turns a single state law into a nationwide filter on what can be sold, shipped, or serviced. If your rig's registration or title lives in one of these states, the implications hit fast. Try to trade in a 2025 gasoline-powered Class A, and the dealer may refuse it outright. Even private sales face new inspection thresholds that make transfer nearly impossible. Every change comes with paperwork, and every delay costs real money. Storage fees, loan interest, insurance lapses. Industry analysts estimate that by the end of 2025, roughly 40% of U.S. R-Vee transactions will be affected by these parallel bans. That's nearly half the market locked in regulatory limbo. But bans aren't the only blow. The money side's worse. If the laws set the trap, the market's reaction is what springs it. From showroom to shutdown, walk onto a dealer lot today, and you'll see something you haven't seen in years. Silence. The bright flags still wave, but the traffic is gone. Salespeople stand by rigs that nobody's financing. According to Black Book's May update, floor plan, inventory has climbed 32% since last fall. That means dealers are paying interest on rows of unsold machines every month they sit. Some have already started what they call silent liquidation, dropping prices below cost just to keep their credit lines alive. R-Vee Trader listings tell the same story. A 23-foot Winnebago Vista that averaged $113,000 in 2024 now lists for $89,000 and still sits unsold after 60 days. Dealers once bragged about shortages. Now they whisper about storage costs. One Midwest retailer told his staff to expect a 60-day shutdown this summer if lending doesn't loosen. It's not just about profit margins, it's about survival. If these dealers default on their floor plan loans, manufacturers stop shipping. When production slows, the supply chain contracts, and that echoes through every small town that builds, paints, or delivers these rigs. The R-Vee economy isn't crashing all at once, it's folding in layers. Next comes the panic, and it's already spreading through dealerships. The numbers proved it's real. Now the people inside the business are about to show how deep the damage goes. The floor plan squeeze. Dealers don't own most of the R-Vees you see on their lots. They borrow them. Every rig sitting there is financed through what's called a floor plan loan, a rolling line of credit that lets them stock units until they sell. It works fine when sales move quickly. But when prices stall and interest rates climb, that loan becomes a slow-motion time bomb. In early 2025, average floor plan interest jumped past 8%, up from barely 4% 2 years ago. On $1 million in inventory, that difference adds nearly $40,000 a year in cost just to keep keys on hooks. Dealers from Ohio to Arizona are calling lenders daily to renegotiate. One longtime retailer in Indiana summed it up bluntly: "We're paying more to park them than to sell them." You've probably seen the result online: mega clearance, factory reset, inventory liquidation. Those banners aren't marketing, they're lifelines. When cash flow dries up, dealers slash prices below cost to survive another billing cycle. Each drop hurts the resale market even further, pulling private values down with them. That's why the sudden price cuts aren't deals at all, they're distress signals, the sign that the financial scaffolding underneath the R-Vee industry is starting to buckle. The loans are bleeding them dry, but the next problem is what's sitting on those lots. Hundreds of rigs that simply won't move. Inventory. They can't move. Across the country, you can see it from the highway. Dealer yards packed tighter than they've been in years. Class A and Super C motorhomes lined nose to tail. Slides extended just to fit. The color is back in the paint, but gone from the balance sheets. According to Black Book's March data, the average R-Vee now sits on a lot for 112 days before selling, up more than 40% from the same time last year. Every extra day means more interest, more insurance, and more depreciation. Dealers can't store everything indoors, so hail, heat, and moisture quietly chew into unsold stock. Each lost dollar on the lot becomes another $1,000 shaved off your trade-in offer when you try to sell yours. The system is cannibalizing itself. A few large outlets have started renting overflow space from shuttered shopping centers and old car dealerships. Drone footage from a Texas superlot shows more than 300 rigs parked wingtip to wingtip. No customers. Just silence. Staff who used to prep deliveries now spend days starting engines to keep batteries from dying. Still, the price cuts keep coming. But even if they dump inventory and you decide to buy, there's a new roadblock waiting: and it's hitting right in the renewal envelope of every RV policy across the country. Dealers can drop the price all they want. The next hit comes when you try to insure the thing you just bought. Insurance sticker shock. The first real panic doesn't show up on dealer spreadsheets. It lands in mailboxes. Renewal notices for 2025 have been rolling out since February, and the average RV premium has climbed by more than $600 a year. Some owners with large Class A rigs are reporting jumps of over 1,000. Insurers say it's risk modeling. The logic goes like this. Collapsing resale values mean higher payout ratios in the event of a claim. If your rig loses 30% in value, but repair costs stay the same, the insurer owes more relative to market price. Add to that the shortage of certified repair centers and long service delays, and the risk model flags RVs as high liability recreational assets. In plain language, they're money pits. State filings confirm that several underwriters have already pulled back coverage on rigs over 10 years old, labeling them non-economical to repair. In some regions, owners are being offered only partial comprehensive coverage, fire and theft, no collision. A few major insurers are quietly tying premiums to credit scores, assuming that anyone hanging onto an older coach is financially stretched. This is where the spiral deepens. Higher insurance costs push more owners to cancel coverage altogether, which depresses resale value even further because uninsured units are harder to finance. The chain reaction moves fast, and the next link is already snapping, the part that keeps every rig rolling in the first place. The bills are climbing, but the real shock is what happens when you need a simple replacement part and it just doesn't exist anymore. When the parts vanished. It started with one supplier. In late February, a 40-year-old parts manufacturer in Michigan filed for bankruptcy protection after losing 2 major OEM contracts. Overnight, service centers nationwide lost access to thousands of small but critical components. Hinges, seals, electrical harnesses, trim. What used to ship in days now shows back order dates stretching into summer. Repair shops are rationing their inventory. Mechanics salvage usable parts from wrecked units just to keep regulars on the road. A few dealers are 3D printing replacements for cabinet hardware because the originals are gone. But structural and safety components, brake lines, suspension arms, window seals can't be improvised. Customers wait months, rigs sit idle, and loan payments continue. Warranty departments are overwhelmed. Claims that once closed in 2 weeks now take 3 months as manufacturers chase parts across continents. The cost per repair has tripled since 2020, and the longer a vehicle waits, the more depreciation eats the owner's equity. One factory technician in Oregon put it simply, "The supply chain broke, and we're the ones still holding the screwdriver." For the people who depend on their rigs, full-timers, retirees, delivery drivers, this isn't about patience, it's about access. A vehicle you can't fix is a vehicle you can't sell, and a warranty you can't redeem is just paper, which means even if you keep your rig, you might not be able to use it. The companies are cracking, the supply lines are breaking, and next we'll see how those fractures reach you on the resale lot, in the campground, and in every town that depends on this business, trapped in place. For years, the open road was freedom. Now, for many, it ends at the DMV counter. In early March 2025, a retired couple from Sacramento tried to renew registration on their 2021 Class A coach. They'd done it every year without a hitch, but this time, the clerk quietly slid their paperwork back across the glass. A new emissions classification had taken effect that week, reassigning heavy gasoline-powered motorhomes into the same category as commercial freight vehicles. Renewal denied. Their only options: retrofit to a non-existent standard or remove the rig from state roads entirely. Across states, new fees, smog delays, and emission bans trap RVs in driveways. Each denied registration means another rig losing value, despite running cleaner than old diesels. Policy measures numbers, not fairness. California's message is clear: zero emissions by 2036. Paperwork hurts, but the financial fallout cuts deeper. Paper restrictions hurt, but the financial crash waiting in the resale market cuts far deeper. The vanishing resale window. Used RV prices have always been soft, but never like this. According to Black Book's May 2025 report, average used rig values have dropped more than $10,000 per quarter since late last year. Steepest declines are hitting Class A and Super C models, built after 2020, precisely the ones still under finance. The problem isn't just lower offers, it's a total freeze in buyers. Dealers now reject trade-ins they can't resell, and private listings have doubled while sales collapse. With values dropping 4% monthly, a $100,000 rig can sink to $92,000 by autumn. Auctions show bank loss bargains, and opportunists are circling, profiting while genuine owners watch their equity vanish fast. The traditional market is dying, but a shadow economy is already cashing in on its remains. If this helped you understand what's really happening, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We're tracking every price shift, regulation, and dealer move, so you'll know what to do before the next hit lands. Stay sharp, stay prepared. The flipper surge. Across online classifieds, a fresh trend is emerging. Small outfits buying wrecked or devalued rigs at auction, stripping them for parts, or renting them short-term through peer-to-peer apps. They call it recycling. In reality, it's triage. When legitimate parts suppliers collapsed earlier this year, these flippers filled the gap. They buy 3 non-running coaches, combine the working components, and sell one patched-together unit for a quick profit. The leftovers are broken down and sold piece by piece, door latches, vents, panels, to desperate owners who can't get factory replacements. In Texas and Oregon, flippers rebuild or rent R-Vs from salvaged shells. Old rigs, new life. It keeps them rolling but invites danger. Reused brake lines void insurance and warranties. Quick profits for hustlers mean collapsing trust in brands and resale values. The gray market thrives, but owners lose stability. When the buyers turn scavengers, the next domino to fall is where those rigs used to gather. The campgrounds and small towns built around them. The campground ripple. The heart of the RV world isn't in factories. It's in the campgrounds that dot the highways. They're the diners, the propane stops, the seasonal communities that turn travel into lifestyle. And now they're the first casualties. In California and Washington, new zoning tied to emissions rules has forced several long-term parks to close or convert to trailer storage. Bookings in Oregon's state-run sites have dropped 20% since last year, the sharpest decline in a decade. Small towns built on RV traffic are drying up. Fewer guests mean fewer repairs, meals, and tax dollars. One Vermont owner said, "We built this town on wheels. Now they're not coming back." Even booming states like Montana and Idaho won't escape as bans spread east. The entire lifestyle is shrinking fast. The collapse shows who's losing. Next, we uncover what's left to protect and how you can still outmaneuver the fallout before the next season begins. The ownership liability. Owning an RV used to mean freedom. Now, it can mean fines. Across several cities, local councils have started rewriting parking and emissions ordinances, targeting large vehicles that idle or stay parked longer than a few hours. In Los Angeles, a new rule imposes a $150 surcharge on any vehicle exceeding 8,500 pounds that idles longer than 15 minutes within city limits. In parts of Oregon and New York, overnight street parking for Class A rigs has been banned altogether unless you pay for a specific low-impact permit. Audit your parts supply now. Source critical spares like seals, gaskets, and electronics before shortages deepen. Track auction trends and sell during the 3 to 4 month plateau after regulation shifts. This isn't panic, it's positioning. A proactive checklist beats confusion. Act before the next registration cycle because something new is coming. The headlines can't protect you, but a few deliberate moves right now still can. Your defense plan. When every rule seems to shift overnight, information becomes protection. The only way to stay ahead is to know exactly what's changing and where your money sits in the crossfire. That's why experienced owners are building what they call an owner defense checklist. It's not complicated, it's methodical. First, verify your insurance payout caps. Most RV policies quietly reduce payout value as depreciation accelerates, meaning you could lose thousands if your rig is declared a total loss. Call your insurer, ask for your current, actual cash value, and compare it to your loan balance or resale target. If there's a gap, request an updated endorsement or shop for a policy that locks coverage closer to replacement value. Audit your parts supply now. Source critical spares like seals, gaskets, and electronics before shortages deepen. Track auction trends and sell during the 3 to 4 month plateau after regulation shifts. This isn't panic, It's positioning. A proactive checklist beats confusion. Act before the next registration cycle, because something new is coming. Protection helps in the short term, but the industry's big promise, the electric revolution, still hides more fiction than fact. The electric mirage. The headlines love the word electric. Every major manufacturer has teased futuristic concepts. Battery-driven Class B vans and prototype coaches with solar rooftops. They promise cleaner travel, cheaper operation, and freedom from fuel spikes. But behind the marketing videos, the math doesn't hold up. An electric motorhome matching a Class A would need a 5,000-pound battery for barely 100 miles per charge, costing 45 cents per mile. Charging takes hours, stations rarely fit large rigs, and replacements exceed $40,000. Despite the hype, electric RVs remain unrealistic. Hope lies in preparation, not promises. Sometimes the answer isn't in innovation. It's in remembering what this lifestyle was meant to be in the first place. The last road trip. A couple in Arizona decided they weren't waiting anymore. Their registration expires in 60 days, and the new emissions policy means they won't be able to renew. So they packed up their old Class A, topped off the tank, and hit the road one last time. No countdowns, no spreadsheets, just asphalt and sunlight. Along the way, they met other travelers doing the same. People quietly saying goodbye to a chapter of their lives that built a community from coast to coast. They camped near the Grand Canyon, watching the sunset reflect off chrome aged by decades of stories. No anger, just pride. Freedom, they realized, was never about motion, but choice. Plan routes, verify coverage, maintain readiness, and stay alert. Because when next month's data drops, only the prepared will keep rolling forward. The storm has hit, but knowledge is still the best defense. What comes next will decide who adapts and who gets left parked for good. Don't wait until it's too late. Stay ahead of the next RV market hit. Subscribe for updates, drop a comment with your experience, and let's keep RV owners informed together.